Hello everybody, good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the broadcast is my colleague Varghese P. Abraham. And you know the drill by now. Every day in the morning at 8 a.m. we take a look at what are the top headlines suggesting, what are they telling us, some overnight developments that you might have missed out on. Varghese, it seems like we've got a long list, an expansive list to cover. And the idea behind today's page one, our show, is essentially to break that newsroom barrier so that you come into the process and help us decide what we should do as well. Of course, there are a couple of strict stories that we have decided on whilst we were perusing through the newspapers. But it's not just going to be about the newspapers. We're also going to be looking at the tabloid headlines. We're going to be looking at, what videos are going viral on X and Instagram and Facebook as well. It's a complete show in terms of what the newsy day is going to be looking like. And we've got the Gyanvapi survey. That soldier that went missing in Jammu and Kashmir, he's been found. There's fresh violence in Manipur if Bishnupur firing is to be taken into account after that mass burial that was supposedly cancelled yesterday. After that, we've got rains in Odisha that are wreaking havoc. At least 5 people have already been killed. Rahul Gandhi's defamation case that is going to reach the Supreme Court. We've already had 2 days of the Supreme Court hearing on Article 370, abrogation of Article 370, and yesterday the Gyanvapi survey, which has already begun. We're going to actually, you know what? Let's not waste any more time. Let's quickly cut across to visuals coming right from Varanasi, where that Gyanvapi mosque premises, the ASI is conducting that crucial survey. Yesterday, when the verdict came out of the Allahabad High Court, people were saying that the Muslim side is now going to instantly move the Supreme Court on this matter.
In fact, also the Supreme Court has agreed for an urgent hearing on the matter as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that is going to pan out.
That urgent hearing is going to be taken up today because Varghese, Mondays and Fridays that SLPs can be taken up. So Monday and Fridays are the days when the Supreme Court can, in fact, take a look at if it wants to admit a plea or it does not want to admit a plea, and it happens really quickly. It's a long list, and you've got the petitioners who come in, and the lawyers, they have mere minutes to convince the judges and the bench that you must admit our plea. So it's going to be interesting, like you said, what's going to happen. Also, they have done that earlier as well.
Also, Kabir, by the way, the ASI teams are at the spot. It's been split into 2, is what we understand, where the survey is going to be carried out. But before that, there's a huge security presence that has been placed around the structure. Barricades have been put in, security checks have been put in because of the sensitive nature of this survey as such. This has resulted in the security aspect being heightened in and around the complex. So that is also something that we are looking at, and at the same time there have been people gathering around the complex structure as well, but they are at a far off distance as of now. Now, one of the interesting facts that I was looking at in the newspapers is that why the court had in fact come to a decision to continue with the survey. And survey at Gyanvapi can go ahead is what the Allahabad court had said yesterday. But interestingly enough, this is what they have stated. They said that necessary in the interest of justice. The Allahabad High Court upheld a district court order and said that the proposed survey by ASI is necessary for the interest of judges and it will benefit both sides. Now, the trial court was justified is what it has said. The scientific survey investigation proposed is necessary in the interest of the justice and shall benefit the plaintiffs and defendants alike and come in the bid of the trial court to arrive at a just decision. The trial court was justified in passing the impunged order. So High Court has also
can survey Gyanvapi for sake of justice.
Yeah, that is
for the sake of justice. Mosque body in the Supreme Court today. The CGI agrees for an urgent hearing, which is exactly what happened the last time around as well.
Yep.
When the survey was being carried out initially before this, the Muslim side went to the Supreme Court, an urgent hearing was taken up, and they said, you have 3-4 days to move the Allahabad High Court and solve your problem out with the Allahabad High Court essentially. And the Allahabad High Court after that gave that crucial, verdict yesterday. But my bigger question is, and I was just thinking out loud, I also had, our legal editor here with me in the studio when we were trying to decode Article 370 and the Gyanvapi mosque case. Asaduddin Owaisi says, that are you going to start digging up every place? Because you'll have so many of these places. Tomorrow some Jain community will come and say, why have you built a mosque here? Why have you built a temple here? Tomorrow some Sikh person can come and say, there was a Gurdwara here. Why have you built a temple here? The Places of Worship Act 1991, it exists for a reason. The validity of the same is something that is going to now be questioned.
Well, there is a huge question that was raised on the validity of it, and it's got a history with regard to Gyanvapi as well. See, Gyanvapi, the first petitioner, moved the petition in 1991. Then in 1998, you had the mosque committee in fact moving against it, and for 22 years this was in abeyance. Again, it was pulled up in 2019 after being in abeyance for almost 22 years. It was pulled up in 2019 where another petitioner on behalf of the original petitioner went ahead and filed a case. From there onwards, you have a cascading series of effects that's happened, and then you have these 5 Hindu women also going ahead and filing a case asking for worship rights of deities within the structure. That again led to the fact that the argument was, what was the structure that was at that place?
Should I just take the viewers through the important dates?
Yes, yes, I think you are. I was
Before we move on, let's take a look at the important key dates. May 16, 2023. 4 plaintiffs of Shringar Gauri case filed an application before a district judge seeking an ASI survey of the Gyanvapi complex, excluding the sealed Wazu Khana area, the ablution area. July 21st, the judge orders survey on the ground it won't violate SC order, the SC order about the ablution area, about the Wazu Khana area, and will decide plaintiff's plea to find out if mosque was built over a temple or not. July 23rd, Anjuman Intizamiya Masjid Committee, the Muslim side, files contempt plea in Supreme Court against the order. July 24th, the ASI survey begins but halts after 4 hours when Supreme Court stays it and asks the Muslim side, the Muslim committee, to move the Allahabad High Court for relief. August 3rd, which was yesterday, the High Court upholds the district judge's order, allows the Archaeological Survey of India to conduct that survey. The AIM, meanwhile, moves to the Supreme Court. Now, there's an interesting point that's mentioned over here. It says 18 pleas linked to the dispute are being heard in various courts of Varanasi besides the original suit, the verdict on which High Court is set to give on August 28th.
So that is again a
18
crucial
other
date.
pleas are also being
pleas
heard.
Are there. Also, this is what the appeal is from the committee, the mosque committee. In its appeal, the committee emphasized that the structure was always a mosque and remained a mosque as on August 15, 1947. Now, that is also the point in the 1991 the Worship Act also gives that as the cutoff date. Okay, and therefore, findings of the survey will be rendered nugatory in views of the Places of Worship Act. So again, that is
right. With so much of police presence that we can already see, we're playing those fresh visuals that have just come in this very morning. The survey began at about 7:30 today. A quick reaction that's coming from one of the plaintiff and one of the lawyers. Let's quickly listen in to those reactions.
अब हमारी टीम में तो 8 लोग हैं, हिंदू पक्ष की टीम में 8 लोग हैं। सर्वे जो पिछली बार 53 लोग थे, और उसके बाद अब तो मुस्लिम पक्ष की कितनी टीमें हैं ये तो
मुस्लिम पक्ष ने मना कर दिया कि वो आज के सर्वे में नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि
अरे भाई देखिए, वो इनका व्यक्तिगत मामला, मुस्लिम पक्ष रहे या न रहे, ये हम अपने पक्ष को जानते हैं। हमारा पक्ष जो है दृढ़ता के साथ वहाँ खड़ा है, पूरी लड़ाई मजबूती से लड़ रहा है। हम लोग न लटकाने वाले हैं न भटकाने वाले हैं, और न ही हम लोग भागने वाले हैं। हम लड़ाई को मुहिम तक, इस बाबा आराध्य जो हमारे आदि विशेषज्ञ हैं, इनको मुकाम तक पहुंचा के ही छोड़ेंगे। ये जो दावा मुकदमा हम लोगों ने शुरू किया है, इसको अपनी मंजिल तक पहुंचाएंगे। इसलिए मुस्लिम अगर भाग रहा है, ये उनकी समस्या है।
कितने दिनों का सर्वे होगा?
अब सर्वे एसआई बताएगी। अब ये तो बता पाना बड़ा मुश्किल है कि कितने दिन सर्वे चलेगा। ये एसआई की टीम बता सकती है कि कितने दिन चलेगा।
वाराणसी की जिला अदालत में भी सुनवाई हुई कि 4 अगस्त को वहाँ बुलाया गया था, उसमें क्या होगा?
वो तो ट्रायल, हमारा सुनवाई वहाँ चल रहा है, चलेगा। हम लोग वहाँ, हमारी टीम वहाँ भी लगी रहेगी, लेकिन यहाँ सर्वे चल रहा है। ये हाईकोर्ट के आदेश पे चल रहा है, क्योंकि जिला न्यायालय ने भी आदेश दे दिया था और 4 तक उसने कहा था कि अपने रिपोर्ट को सबमिट कीजिए। क्योंकि सर्वे हुआ नहीं, आज सर्वे शुरू हो रहा है, तो ये तो जो प्रोसीजर कोर्ट का है वो चलेगा जिला कोर्ट में, लेकिन आज हाई कोर्ट के आदेश पर यहाँ जो है सर्वे होने जा रहा है।
इसमें जो है विष्णु शंकर जैन जी, हरिशंकर जी दिल्ली में है, 2 यहाँ के अधिवक्ता जो है सुधीर जी
मतलब अनुमति नहीं है?
हाँ, अनुमति नहीं, उन्हें दूसरी लिस्ट में थी। रात 9 बजे जो डीएम की लिस्ट आई थी उसमें थी। पुरानी लिस्ट को बहाल की गई। हाँ, सर्वे शुरू हो गया। हाँ, सर्वे शुरू हो गया। हाँ, सर्वे शुरू हो गया है। और मुस्लिम समाज अगले भी सर्वे का बहिष्कार किया, इस बार भी सर्वे का बहिष्कार कर रहा है।
इस बार भी बहिष्कार कर रहा है। The bigger question, it seems, Varghese, here is, of course, one. Because even as the survey starts today, and the High Court has assured that there is no demolition that's going to take place in the ablution area, in the Wazukhana area, the bigger question remains that, I mean, in the larger context of what's happening across the country, take a look at what's happening in Haryana, in Manipur, the notion of hatred that people are already talking about. I'm just saying, even if the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh comes out and says that, दीवारें चिल्ला चिल्ला के कह रही हैं, वहाँ पर अंदर त्रिशूल है. I mean, the Places of Worship Act exists for a reason, doesn't it? And for so many years,
that's what I
the
was
mosque
trying to
and
tell
the
yesterday.
Kashi Vishwanath Mandir have, it's
understand.
such a beautiful imagery. The mosque and the mandir right next to each other. For ages, Varanasi, on the banks of, confluence of Ganga, Yamuna, you've got the confluence of religions, of diversity, of education, culture. So much is happening.
Kabir,
Why do you want to
that's what I was saying yesterday.
That?
We were talking about that only, saying that the worship of course, the Worship of Places Act, I mean, 1991 came in 1991 because of the Ram Janmabhoomi issue, and they didn't want further. The government then didn't want any further embers to keep this thing and then turn into something like that. So what actually resulted is that you see the government acting in a manner like giving that cut-off date of 1947 to it, and but the fact remains is that we are a syncretic culture, and we are a very composite culture, and as you pointed out, yes, we have certain influences of others, but then the fact remains also we cannot harp on historical negativities. I mean, historical negativities, we are all enemies with each other. There is not a single region in this country that does not have issues about historical negativities, but then we tend to focus on historical positivities, where we have collaborated, where we have come into a modern republic. We have evolved from all that, and we've gone beyond that. To dig out, those old issues would in fact trigger a point where these issues could come to the forefront, and the Worship of Places Act of 1991, which is now being questioned, its validity is being questioned, its factors are being questioned, and also that act is going to be the principal point of argument that the Muslim side will be putting forth in front of the Supreme Court also today. So whether that will come into focus is something that we have to see once the hearing starts. And I think it's around 10:30 a.m. when we are looking at the hearing for Gyanvapi starting.
Right, absolutely. So again today, we'll have to wait and find out as to how long will the ASI take to conduct that survey. Once today's survey is done, I'm sure the ASI team is going to be approached by media people. You exactly know the amount of media persons that are situated and stationed right outside the Gyanvapi mosque premises. Let's quickly shift our focus here, and whilst we're shifting our focus, I'm reading here on the flap, the back end of the flap, it says, after 8 years, Supreme Court to hear today Manmohan's coal scam plea. Ex-Prime Minister had challenged trial court order summoning him as the accused. But more importantly, on the front page of the Times of India and on most of these newspapers is, of course, the story about the fresh violence in Panipat. Migrant workers have fled Gurugram. Bulldozers have run riot against the accused as well. Haryana riots, first FIRs against hate posts, 2,000 clips that are currently under the lens. So when you're looking at the new social media trigger, or the Gurgaon social media trigger, or the Haryana social media trigger, 2,000 of those clips are under COPS's lens. 4-member panel to monitor the social media. That's what's been constituted, and call to offer Friday prayers from home. So the Friday namaz is essentially going to be taken up from home. I'm sure this element is another one of those elements that is not going to go down well with the heavily Muslim dominated areas for sure. As nearly vacant parking lot near sector 29 in Gurgaon on Thursday, as most offices stayed in work from home mode. New cyber police station probing all new Jamtara cases targeted by mob of 500 and 600 people. You remember, right?
Yeah, the cyber station that was attacked.
Cyber station that was attacked. Offer Friday prayers from home. That's the news that's coming in. Says Gurgaon Imam and Muslim groups. It's not coming in from the administration. The Imam and the Muslim groups have now come in, and they're saying, how about you offer prayers from home? 100-strong mob that attacked a mosque in Gurgaon on August 2nd, led by a group from Tigra village, 2 kilometers away. But more importantly, some visuals and videos that were doing the rounds on social media had, these vigilantes with their mouths covered and roaming around in autos, stopping and checking for IDs of people on the road, asking them whether they're Hindu or whether they're Muslim. I mean, what's all that about? When I looked at that visual and that imagery, it was, I think, a News Laundry journalist that's put out that video, who was trying to go to the shanties, try to talk to the people. The shanties, again, a heavily Muslim-dominated area, and he spoke to some people there. Those houses have been burned, they've been vandalized, and they've constantly been asked to move away from there. They've been asked to simply just go away, just leave the place and go. And the reporter himself was asked, Hindu hai ya Musliman hai? And he shows his ID card, and the people in the auto give him a thumbs up for him being a Hindu, and then they said, "Chal beta, you be on your way, you be off on your way." I'm saying, what's essentially happening, Varghese?
That is how we call polarization and to an extent ghettoization actually happening. And of course, here the Tribune has spoken about bulldozer justice. Houses of 250 violence accused raised belongs to mobsters, stone pelters who attacked the yatra, is what is being said. Adopting Uttar Pradesh CM Yogi Adityanath bulldozer justice system, the law enforcement agencies in News Tharu bulldozed 250 shanties of illegal immigrants, again in quotes that they have put, the majority of whom were named as accused in the recent communal violence. The shanties are learned to be illegal encroachment in HSVP land for the past 4 years and were allegedly inhabited by illegal immigrants from Bangladesh.
Right.
So the district
the
authorities...
Rohingya Muslims, because they don't have it easy either in India or Myanmar or any of these places.
Sources in the police are revealed that majority of the mobsters who pelted stones in and around Tharu and were attacked shops and people were from the settlement and had even shared photos and videos of their acts. This is what the police have been claiming, and similar drives according to the police plan will be carried out at all places including Nalar village where the mobs attacked VHP Yatra and torched vehicles, said sources. Of over 50 properties in different parts of NU have been identified so far. So we are looking at bulldozer justice also happening on one side. We are looking at what they claim, and I like the way the Tribune has in fact used the way the quotation marks especially, and also the way they have put the quotes in with regarded to illegal immigrants and the shanties and the accused and such. But Kabir, the incident in NU, the administration wants to send a kind of a message saying that we are not going to tolerate it. But does that give a blanket accusation point as to such that will they go, targeting people like this in a manner that would actually send out that message? Because at the end of the day, everyone wants to quell the violence as fast as possible. But this is an issue that might be coming in because it is being said it's coming from one particular area.
It says here, and again Times of India have put in a nice infographic. It says where the violence broke out, duty magistrate and NU cops rescue 30-40 yatra participants stranded inside the temple, which was surrounded by a mob of 400 to 500 people. There's a temple, there's the NU bus stand, it's got the old bus stand over there. Right next to it, and the new rural cyber police station is also there. So the old bus stand, you can see the visual over here. After a mob attacks their vehicle, additional chief judicial magistrate and a 3-year-old daughter take cover. Remember we
were speaking about it yesterday.
Then the bus stand in NU, around 5-6 cops including Constable Neeraj are on their way to rescue Manesar DSP's team when they also come under attack by a group of 6 constables and escape with minor injuries. In the police station in NU, mob of 500 to 600 surround the station while 20 cops are trapped inside. FIR numbers have been given: 253 location cyber police station, 257 location Anaj Mandi gate, FIR number 261 location NU bus stand, location old bus stand Delhi Alwar road. The FIR that is been filed here, it's near temple near NU Chowk. Meat shop was damaged, a dhaba set on fire, asked name and then attacked. See exactly what I was talking about. We've come to that where people are asking you for your surname, trying to assess whether you're a Muslim or a Hindu, and that's when you're going to be attacked or not. This is what we've come to. The vandalism, the arson that we're looking at, times are certainly not right, Varghese. And I mean, I'm scared for my family members and my loved ones to be stepping out. Well, for how long will you work from home? The bus that was rammed into the boundary wall of the cyber police station in NU, Take a look at this visual, the picture, the bus. The bus was rammed into the cyber police station.
This question about this attack on the cyber police station has been, we've been speaking with our experts and guests as well. What all of them have been saying is that there is something about this particular aspect of attacking the cyber police station, because a lot of cases from especially related to cyber crimes, were lodged in that cyber station. And why would this cyber police station be targeted by this mob? Because I was asking that question whether you can delete the data. He said, well, to a large extent, there could be files that would be there, evidence that would have been there. But if it was with regard to data evidence, of course, that would be stored in various servers and you can retrieve them. But here, in this case, he also said that there should be a proper investigation only on the attack on the cyber police station. Because in the entire scheme of things, I mean, the larger riots that were happening, this particular police station was in fact targeted.
People are leaving Gurgaon.
A lot of migrants are leaving.
Not the Gurgaon we know. Shaken by the communal clashes, they leave. Some executives and families have moved to Delhi hotels. Others consider relocating altogether for good. But the prime concern here, Varghese, is that originally from West Bengal, Nishar Ali and his brother Rustam were returning to their shanty in Palda Dhani when they were stopped by 4 or 5 youths. They alleged the youths asked their names. There is no news in the fact that complete lawlessness and lapses by the local administration on the ground. On the other hand, now take a look at the ripple effect. The economy takes a hit, corporate hub takes a hit. All these people that are living in the shanties are essentially house helps or residential helps for people who are living in these residential areas. So they can't go to their work because they've been categorically asked to leave. So many children that are now going to be out of school, their education affected. All the people, the rich folk staying in Gurgaon are saying that this is not the Gurgaon that we know. They are shaken. They've moved into the Delhi hotels. That's the situation.
See, and
right.
Kabir, the shocking part of it is that in Haryana, they were actually trying to ensure that Gurugram turns out to be an economic hub. You were attracting tech companies to Gurugram hub. It could have been the mini Silicon Valley that you were looking at.
I think
and it could have been your revenue-generating district.
Look at cyber hub.
Yeah, it could have been your cyber hub. But with top executives moving out of Gurugram, it sends a really bad message. So why has this happened? Even I still believe that the local administration should be hauled up for what has happened, because what they have cost Haryana is huge. What they've cost Haryana is not only the peace part of it, they've also cost Haryana in economic terms, especially when it comes to multinational companies setting up base in Gurugram. Though we had the ACP coming in and saying that, everything is under control, they've been trying to ensure that there is peace, there is enough and adequate security, companies should work and the offices are open. The fact remains all that, but it has come at a time very little and too late right now, because right now what we are seeing is this complete exodus of people, as you rightly pointed out, and the long-term economic effects on that business district is something that we need to explore.
But I still feel the focus should definitely be on the safety and security of people.
Without safety and security, the rest doesn't fall in place.
It still doesn't fly by me as a citizen of this country that the Chief Minister comes out and says that police can't protect everybody. On the other hand, take a look at what's happening on the ground. Now, IDs are being checked and you're being asked your name to identify what community, what religion you belong to, whether you'll be spared or not. That's not the country that I envision for my offsprings. That's not the country that I envision for my loved ones to be stepping out of their home. This needs to be fixed for sure. Let's also move on. When we're talking about Haryana, how can we not talk about the other burning place in our country right now? And I say it with full gusto here that it is, of course, burning. Again, fresh violence in Manipur. We'll talk about when the parliament is going to be holding up that discussion. They're saying August 11th, the parliament is going to start.
Because they're saying it's the last day of the session. They do want
to talk about it. So you're essentially waiting for the last day of the parliament session to be talking about Manipur, which is, I think, the most burning issue right now. On the other hand, there is fresh violence In Bishnupur, our own reporter, we've got some feed coming in from Manipur, where our own team got caught in the crossfire.
Between the security forces
it
and the
got a little bit
protesters.
dangerous. And I've been saying this time and again, it's not dangerous to be reporting out of Manipur because it is low-key embedded journalism, Varghese. There is fresh violence. 17 people got injured in that crossfire, the crossfire. August 11th, the last day, is when the parliament is going to be, here taking up that discussion. But take a look at what I'm reading here on the front page of the Indian Express. Before the video went viral, and we all know what video we're talking about here, the abhorrent video about that May 4th sexual assault, gang rape, whatever you want to call it. It's gut-wrenching to see that particular video. Before that video went viral, Manipur outfit made an attempt to bury it. Before the video capturing the stripping and sexual assault of the 3 Kukizomi women in Manipur on May 4th became viral, there was a concerted effort to get Yumlembam Jiban, the 18-year-old who had shot the video, to delete it from his phone. This, the Indian Express has learnt in an exclusive story. Jiban is one of the 7 people who have been arrested so far by the Manipur police in connection with the assault of the 3 women in Manipur's Thobal district. He, along with 3 others, were present before the court of the special judge Thobal on Monday. According to a relative of Jiban from his village, village seniors knew that he had shot this video and had it on his phone. He was advised many times by village seniors to delete the video, and he kept telling us that he would, but he sent it to his cousin, who sent it to another friend, and from there
it became viral.
And I'm glad he did not delete it, because it had to come to the fore for us to really understand the dark underbelly of Manipur.
The intensity of what was happening. We were only seeing certain visuals, but the intensity, the ugliness of that violence came out completely in through that video. Also, you were in fact mentioning about it. The entire Kabir, what happened is that when the 30 women had suffered minor injuries when Metis groups opposed to the mass burial attempted to cross barricaded zones in Churchandpur and pelted stones at personnel of the Assam Rifles and Rapid Action Force, who then used tear gas shells to disperse the mob. Now that is where our reporter also was in fact caught up in, and that battle lines were also laid out. But now, for now, the cookie groups have decided, because the court has said also that status quo ante should be there.
Right.
So now the cookie groups, and there's hectic parleying that happened at complete midnight between ITLF leaders, state government, union government, and the security forces to whether if it's possible to keep or rather to not let the mass burial happen, because it had raised a lot of tension on the ground.
A demonstrator blocks an army vehicle as she protests against the mass burial of victims of ethnic violence in Imphal on Thursday. Now, do you think it was nice of the Manipur High Court to take cognizance of the fact that this might turn into a full-blown stir if the mass burial does in fact take place?
It would have been, yes, see, the question is, yesterday we were asking about giving respect to the dead and others, but I was also saying that how it will become a symbolism for both the communities to make it as a point of reference for keeping it quite divisive. So that aspect of it is something that I think the court would have taken note of, and that's why it went ahead and ordered that status quo ante at the moment. But however, this burial cannot be indefinitely kept off, because it is a very emotional situation, and already many people had gathered for that burial, and there were speeches that were given regarding
this
it.
This is where we've come to, Varghese. This is where we've come to. Fresh violence has brought back total curfew in both the Imphal district.
So you're back.
You're back to square one, essentially.
Exactly.
That's
so
the situation.
The
You're back to square one.
The problem is from May 3rd onwards, we have not progressed in the manner we should have progressed when it comes to some kind of peace or some kind of control of law and order in that area. This is becoming very, it is vitiating the entire atmosphere right now. And in the central government is, as far as I understand, is holding some kind of back channel talks with all of them, all the stakeholders, including the ITLF. And then there is this concern also, they have been able to use the Mizoram chief minister to actually speak speak to those groups and dissuade them from going ahead with this mass burial as well. So there's a lot of efforts that are being put in place to ensure that the tensions don't go high. But as of now, we did see also, I think it was in the Times of India. I think you're holding the Times of India, right? Just one minute. In the Times of India, there is another very in the same story. There is a very disturbing factor. We were talking about guns in Manipur and how many of them are in circulation. Now, this report actually shocked me. The protesters clashed with the Central Security Forces, who responded with tear gas. 21 people being wounded, many of them women, while a mob reportedly looted a significant number of arms and ammunitions from the armory of the 2nd India Reserve Battalion IRB in Narsena of Bishnupur district. So you have this armory being looted as such.
I ask this question every time, and every time I don't have an answer for it.
I mean, how many
is
reconciliation is very difficult, because here we see that we were talking about how these arms have to be recovered.
Come back to a situation where there is
again curfew again
in both the Imphal districts.
It is.
Talk about taking the next step forward, towards peace.
We have taken from
this
yesterday
is about
onwards,
taking steps back.
This is like 10 steps back we have gone in this regard, because when we are still saying that armories can be looted, and this report coming in the Times of India,
it's the village seniors. It's the village seniors, people who should have control over the situation, are asking the youngsters to delete the video. To make sure that it does not come out. And just like that, we never know how many videos in fact did not come out, how many weren't even video recorded.
That is where a lot of, especially from the cookie side, people had been coming in and saying that, when it comes to the kind of violence that is there, a lot has happened. This is only one of the stories, horrific stories that has emerged because the video has gone viral. But there are several such horrible stories coming in from Manipur. And again, Kabir, I think armories being looted is not good, because already there are 4,000 odd guns in circulation. Armories not being looted, armories being looted again is a really bad sign again.
Well, let's hope that peace prevails and we come to some sort of reconciliation where these two communities can look at each other. We must find a solution real soon. And the last day of the monsoon session is not actually the right way of dealing with this. It doesn't send the right message out.
It is kind of a conciliatory approach, saying that, okay, we will take it up for discussion. That's it, because it doesn't let that discussion go further. But anyway, there is a discussion happening on Manipur.
All right. We were talking about Jammu and Kashmir, shifting our focus here a little bit. We had a soldier from a particular regiment who had gone missing. He was a rifleman Javed, and he was abducted. He had gone out of his house. He was supposed to go back on duty. He had come back home for Eid, vacation, and he got abducted. And there was just a pair of slippers and some blood stains that were left in the car, where his car was found by the security forces. A mega multi-agency combing operation began right when the news was, it came out. And after almost half a fortnight, it seems, we found the soldier again. And the soldier, Javed, the rifleman, is going to be interrogated. His picture we've put right there on the big screen, right next to the left of Rahul Gandhi's picture over there. This particular rifleman, now this is what I'm reading on an India Today internet copy. It says an Indian Army soldier who was reported missing from Jammu and Kashmir's Gurugram district was recovered by the police on Thursday. The Jammu and Kashmir police have said that it has recovered an army jawan that had went missing. Now informing about the recovery of the missing army soldier, 25-year-old Javed Ahmed Wani, Kashmir Zone Police said army jawan has been recovered by Kulgam police. Joint interrogation will start shortly after a medical checkup. Now further details shall follow is what the tweet on the
In fact, that is the only information there, Kabir. That's the only information
so that's the only
that they have found the rifleman.
Not found. They've recovered
him.
They've
recovered the rifleman.
Right.
And what are the circumstances that led to his recovery as such? And then an interrogation, a joint interrogation, to start soon once
after his medical checkup is done.
over.
That's
so
that's
I
the
think
only
we'll have to
information
just
that
wait. We have to just wait and find out what the further details the police will give out when it comes to rifleman Javed. Of course, as you said, initially when the reports came about his disappearance, the question was asked of whether he was abducted, and then his family had made an emotional appeal saying that they will ask him to, in fact, leave his job as well.
It does look like something's fishy here, doesn't it? Right?
Well, let's wait and, I would say we will not jump the guns, but let's wait and see what the police report is saying. Because, the police has been very categorical in its statement. It has just said that we have recovered him, his medical checkup is going on, interrogation will follow after that. They have not said how they recovered him, what led to the circumstances, or who could be behind anything of it.
All right, Varghese, let's shift our focus here, because even though my gut starts turning when I start reading about something like this, but it's important that we bring facts like these out to the fore for the people. A girl was gang raped, murdered, and her body was found burnt in a furnace. Listen into the details and the facts of the story. A 14-year-old was murdered after allegedly being gang raped by unidentified perpetrators who burnt her body in an illegal charcoal furnace in Bhilwara the previous evening. 2 other alleged rapes on Thursday in Udaipur and Pratapgarh took to 6 the number of such cases, including those of gang rape in the state of Rajasthan, in less than a week. The troubling tally has left the Ashok Gehlot-led Congress government in the firing line of the opposition BJP and others ahead of assembly polls later this year. That's the information that we're tracking at this point. She was gang raped, murdered, her body was found burnt inside the furnace. I'm going to quickly request the control room if they've got any reactions on this particular story. We do in fact have visuals from that illegal furnace site. The villagers gathered there. There was proper protest, they're demanding justice, proper cacophony in this particular area. Police is on the spot, and there are also those lines which say that do not cross, police work up ahead. If there's a reaction, the control room, please do play that out. Well, we're being told that there is in fact no bite that's come in so far.
But that is the illegal
the furnace, the illegal furnace where the burnt body was found.
But Kabir, do you see that in the last few weeks there has been a deteriorating law and order situation when it comes to especially the safety of women in Rajasthan, right. And the BJP has been in fact having its women press, its women spokesperson actually hitting out against the Rajasthan government over these issues as well. And interestingly enough,
it is ironic. I'm looking at this page. It says Rajasthan incredibly spellbinding. Ashok Gehlot, Chief Minister, put out a big picture. It says complete industry status to tourism sector, up to 30% discount on electricity rates, up to 80% exemption in UD tax, rural tourism scheme implemented in the state, employment opportunities in rural areas. Rajasthan's film tourism promotion policy launched. Subsidy up to rupees 2 crore, 394% increase in tourism activities. I mean, this is what Ashok Gehlot is saying, and this is what's actually happening on the ground. Now, I'm not saying there are people divided on the political spectrum. People who are saying that it's not just about these fancy ads that one can see about Ashok Gehlot and Rajasthan being incredibly spellbinding.
But the fact remains is that there is something that is
the Prime Minister spoke about Manipur,
ground.
And he pointed fingers on Chhattisgarh
what is
and
happening
Rajasthan.
In Chhattisgarh and
Congress
Rajasthan.
spokespersons came out and said that you have used this position again to politicize the event, to politicize your speech when you should have only spoken on Manipur. You're not raising fingers on Congress-led governments. After that, ever since that, in the last 1 week, we're seeing 6th gang rape and or murder case that's happening here. Women being targeted. This is the 14-year-old girl, Varghese. How does one's gut not wrench?
Well, in this country, I think, Kabir, over the last 2 months, we have come across such cases, and each time the cases in fact rise to the point where we find that there seems to be a lack of security for our women folk in this country. No matter what assurances come in, no matter which government is there, in whichever state, there seems to be a complete lack of security, and it is quite shameful that we aren't able to provide that security as well.
Right, and some news coming in from Jodhpur as well. It says gang rape case. Cops collect CCTV footage from Guda's house. The Piper City Police of Jodhpur district reached sacked Rajasthan Minister Rajendra Singh Guda's official residence in Jaipur for spot verification in connection with the abduction and gang rape of 2 minor girls from Piper on Thursday. The police team collected CCTV grabs from the camera on the resident's main gate on SMS Hospital Road and interrogated the staff. The action followed the arrest of an accused who claimed that the girls, both aged around 17 years, were taken to Guda's residence for a brief stay. The girls had alleged that they were raped in a guard room or temporary shelter for visitors there. And meanwhile, the Bharatiya Janata Party is continuing with its political attack on the Gehlot government ahead of polls, slams police for its tardiness. But what's really happening on the ground, it appalls me. We say this country is not for old men, old women, for young children, for girls. Who is this country for then?
I mean, from morning we've been talking about violence and more violence. We've been talking about the situation in Manipur. We are talking about the situation in We are talking about now these crimes against women in Rajasthan. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's quite shocking that we have nothing else to in fact give.
Well, you know, this next news is also about death. Let me just give you that disclaimer. This next news is also about death. But why I want to talk about this is essentially because this is a technical snag. We all live in high-rise residential apartments. We must know when our elevators
are properly serviced or not. Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, taking the elevator to the studio on the 7th floor over here also is actually a task. So, and it could happen to anybody. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. In Noida, a lift falls from 8th floors as the cable snaps, and the woman who's 73 years old dies on the spot. Residents outside the building, you know, they gather outside the building. Let me just read the quick facts here, Varghese. A 73-year-old woman died after a lift at sector 137 high-rise allegedly had a free fall on Thursday evening. 137 sector is where I live as well.
Once you finish reading
elderly woman was alone in the elevator at the time of the incident. Residents claim that the child was also present, who is yet to regain consciousness.
Oh my God.
So a child was also there. Oh, Parastiera. I know exactly where this is. This is right next to, it's in the sector, in the vicinity. And again, there are a lot of complaints in this society as well, that, you know, you've got a lot of bachelors living in this society. You've got a lot of college students living in this society, which is why the owners don't really pay the right kind of maintenance. They're not really focused on, because college going students don't know what facilities are. They're bothered about their everyday milk and going to college, attending classes, chilling out, coming back, having parties. They're not worried about you know, the maintenance, if the lift maintenance is being done, if the repair work is being done in time. It must be that. So is it a case of neglect? Is it a case of negligence on the part of the administration, on the part of the society people, or is it negligence on the part of the residents?
See,
that is something that needs to be probed.
See, over here it looks like a co-influence of negligence that has happened. One is, we must understand whether the lifts were serviced, because here Kabir, two things are there. One is that the cable snapped and the lift was on free fall. Now, even if the cable snaps, there are supposed to be secondary safety procedures. No, there are supposed to be secondary safety procedures that are supposed to kick in. You know, there are clamps next to the lift that is supposed to hit onto the railing. Right. So why didn't that work? So there should be some technical explanation to what happened to as well. So I think it's a confluence of a series of negligence. What was the society doing about that lift? If there was a complaint, why it was not serviced? Were there periodic checks that normally you carry out and service them when required? And why the secondary features, safety features that is there in every lift did not kick in when the cable snapped? Because once the cable snapped, the lift is not supposed to fall into a free fall like this, unless the secondary aspects of the lift has also failed. So I think that investigation should be carried out on this particular accident as well to find out why the secondary features of that lift did not actually kick in. Safety features of that lift did not kick in.
Right.
That is one aspect of it. Second, but you know, any machine needs to be serviced, any machine needs to be maintained. For that, you have to spend.
Everybody
ample
that's
time
watching
there.
this show right now, do go back, ask your society administration, or if you own a personal residence, get your elevators repaired, get them checked.
Get a safety audit done.
Get a safety audit done.
Have to do
for
a safety
sure.
audit, for sure.
It's a safety cable that snaps. There are secondary measures that did not kick in. It could be 4th floor, it could be 8th floor. We've got 20-floor high residential buildings.
I think
this
should. I think the government should ask for safety audits
on
of
its
lives
own.
on its own. Should audit.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
at a district
It's
level
a wake
itself.
up. It's a wake up call for the
It's a
government as well.
wake-up
But
call as
Varghese,
well.
there's one important news that we also have to touch upon. That is of Rahul Gandhi's defamation case.
It's coming
the
up
Modi
soon.
surname case, that remark that has lost him his membership of the parliament, that is going to be taken up in the Supreme Court today. He's challenging, the Gujarat High Court.
But he's
verdict.
also said that his lawyers have also said that he's not going to apologize. He's
He
not going
said
to
it.
apologize
The
for
statement
that.
is that
He's
Rahul
also
Gandhi
made
is
that
not
he's
going to apologize for his.
So he's informed the Supreme Court
Why
that
are
he's
all
not going
thieves
to apologize
Modis?
for it. Yeah, so he's not going to apologize for that. And interestingly enough, that case, has become a good political tool for his rivals to actually target him and also get him out of the parliament because I don't know whether the series of events was planned, but when you see that particular law that has kicked in where a person being convicted and then his membership in the parliament in fact is he faces disqualification because of that. Well, that has kicked in as such, and Rahul Gandhi is the person who has faced that. But the question still remains is that this adamant attitude when it comes to the issue about it, saying that he will not apologize for the statement that he has made. So, I mean, that is something that also shows that he is going to be there on his stand and he's going to stick to that statement as such.
Well, absolutely. We put out the information out there for all the viewers in terms of pointers as to what is at stake for Rahul Gandhi and what is at stake for the Congress party, what is at stake for the Bharatiya Janata Party over there. Rahul Gandhi, like I was telling you yesterday, several editorials in the newspapers as well. People talking about a complete image makeover of Rahul Gandhi. So let's wait and find out. It is in the courts. It is going to be taken up today for a hearing. He is challenging that particular verdict. We'll have to wait and find out as to if the conviction stays or not. Because if the conviction stays, what does it mean for the political, chess map of Indian politics?
2 years
will INDIA's alliance get another boost? Will
there's
it not?
There's a chance that I think if I read everything, almost for 8 years he could be out of.
He could be out, yeah. He could be out of actual active politics for the next 8 years. Let's quickly shift our focus over here as well. Chandrayaan is something that we should quickly talk about as well, because in terms of the Chandrayaan update, that India's moon mission is looking forward to that lunar orbit insertion. Injection was the translunar injection.
Yeah,
our journey from Earth to the moon. On the other hand, August 1st was when that translunar injection was planned, and tonight we're expecting the lunar orbit insertion.
And after that, on August 28th, all goes well. I hope the rover lands.
Abhi tak sab sahi chal raha hai. Abhi tak it's actually going to the T. It's actually going to the T. So again, fingers crossed. That's the situation right now. Tonight is when we're going to be, hopefully we'll learn. Tomorrow morning when we get up, we'll have that perfect news of, that we're in the lunar orbit. We're circling around the moon. So we'll circle around the moon for another couple of days. Man, it's a long wait. I mean, I'm excited, but it's a long, long wait. And then when we're about just 100 kilometers away from, the moon's surface, that's when we're going to
soft land.
Soft land, whatever you want to call it, but we're going to become the 4th nation to do it. Fingers crossed there, Varghese. Quickly shifting our focus again, ladies and gentlemen. Rain pain in Odisha is also something that we will, of course, in fact, talk about. There's a cyclonic development that happened in the Bay of Bengal, that deep depression. Because of that, rain is wreaking havoc in Odisha. At least 5 people have been killed so far amid the rain fury, and the state's it's gearing up for more floods that's coming its way. Even the IMD has put Odisha on alert. The state has been battered by heavy rains for now 3 days altogether. Today again, the 4th day, it is again under various kinds of alert. Somewhere it's red, most of the places it's yellow, and let's just say it's safe to assume that almost all of Odisha, at least the coastal belt, is under an orange alert. Those are the visuals that we're getting. Look at China, look at Himachal Pradesh, look at Uttarakhand, look at what's happening in United States earlier in the year. Extreme weather events is the theme.
We were just speaking
of
about
this year.
Beijing yesterday and
Right,
how
that's what I'm
Beijing
saying.
was facing
China. But in Odisha, Varghese, look at this, a temple that has completely been submerged, inundated.
Well, Odisha has had a history with extreme weather phenomenon, and this you were talking about the depression that is resulting in rains in Odisha, and I think the administration is quite prepared for to face the kind of situation that they are in. In certain places, they've already evacuated people from low-lying regions already, so that the impact could be, kind of mitigated.
Well, we can only hope that the state and the NDRF and the SDRF, they have been deployed and stationed. Take a look at that. The rescue operations are already on. What is going on over there? Are they trying to fight off a snake?
Or are they trying to in fact fish? I'm trying to find out what is it.
Are they trying to fish on that road? Well, that could actually be, highly plausible. That they
Whichever
are
river
trying
it
to
is,
fish
it has
on a
burst
moving
its
road.
banks and it is of course overflowing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the banks have burst. The bus is, cutting right across where the guy is sitting and fishing. That's the situation. This is Odisha right now, again under a red alert for today as well. All right. It seems like we've covered pretty much everything. 17-year-old from Chennai dislodges Vishwanath Anand to become top Indian in FIDE rankings. A 17-year-old Gukesh D with Anand in Baku. So 17-year-old from Chennai dislodging Vishwanathan Anand. I've heard that, that's the young boy over there, a grandmaster in the making. I'm sure, Varghese, you also play a lot of chess. Would you be able to take on Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand?
I wouldn't.
You were talking about several openings the other day on the chessboard.
I wouldn't be able to, in fact, do anything about it because
Before the Grandmaster carves
there are
you
smart,
open.
exactly. But there, are, the most humbling experience is that there are teenagers who are around 12 to 13 who can beat me on the chessboard with really good master moves.
Anything that we're missing out on, Varghese, before we wrap the show up?
Okay, before we wrap the show up, I think we should see that Trump has pleaded not guilty for all those charges that he has put. So
that's no news to me.
Moxila Upadhyay read out all
those.
those charges, and he has in fact gone ahead and said that he pleads not
This on
guilty for
his bid to overturn the 2020 election.
Exactly, but
Isn't
there are
that
4
right?
charges to it of trying to defraud the United States.
So
trying
Trump
to
stands before
overturn
the
it.
judge on charges to overturn the 2020 elections, and he faces criminal counts. This is the 3rd time in the last 4 months when the ex-president of the United States has been arraigned, and he has again pleaded not guilty. That's that big. I mean, the vanity in the man, the suave with which he carries himself, or the opposite of it for non-MAGA supporters. He travels with his own plane. It's got the livery of his name on it. This is Donald Trump. I mean, it wasn't any news to me that he would plead not
what
guilty.
the prosecutor said? The prosecutor said that it was almost kind of a Nazi level kind of a attack that they saw when he tried to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. So that's the thing about it. So let's wait and watch how this in fact moves out, because it's it's going to be a big question on whether democracy is live and kicking in.
So that's how our day essentially looks like. Those are some of the top news that we're following up. Of course, there's going to be a show on the NEET. 18 students have died by suicide. That is going to be one of the top focus today. Apart from that, if there's anything that you would want us to do, get down in the comment sections and help us understand. We'd be happy to take those debates up, bring you voices from both sides and with equal weightage. Varghese, many thanks for joining with me here on today's Page 1. That's all the time I have for you. That's it. It's a wrap on News 9. Keep watching News 9 Live.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर। इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी नहीं खा सकते बाहर बैठ के।
Life around the landfill is a curse.
हमारे घर में जो बड़े हैं उन्हें अस्थमा के वो पेशेंट है, आए दिन उनको नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है।
डॉक्टर ने मुझे ये चीज बोला कि यहाँ का एरिया छोड़ के कहीं और चाहिए।
Delhi's garbage mountains are now a fetid symbol of the national capital's trash problem. The question is, who is to be blamed? Watch Delhi's Garbage Mountains. Streaming on News 9 Plus for the Genflix.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. Streaming now